So my name's Alice, and I'm a yoga teacher in Calgary. I've been practicing since the year 2000 and started teaching in about 2009. One of my dreams since I was, probably like 18 or maybe even younger, was to travel the world and to somehow find a way to get paid for traveling the world. Right? And another big part of what I wanted to offer was to be able to be of service in the world. And, on the outside, it was a tough year. I had traveled a lot and on my own even, but to be away for a full year in a country that I had to learn a new language, and I was working, so not traveling, but working, and doing my very best to immerse into a community where I was clearly a foreigner. So that was tough on its own. What happened in that year was that I really got to know me. And there were some parts of me that I saw that was like, yeah, I'm really proud of myself. I see myself in my light. And there were other things that I saw about myself that were like, wow, Alice, I don't know if I like that part of me. I don't know if I can even love that part of me. And I feel like that's a big piece of why that year was so tough. And it was the first thing for a long time that just made my heart sing. For a long time, I had thought that my yes was really to be in Tanzania and do this really tough work, and with others. And when that opportunity with him came, even though maybe I didn't know it at that time or when to put these words to it, I see now that it was a great opportunity to do hard work with me. It really felt like he was an angel that just came down at the perfect time, at probably the lowest of my low that I've had in my lifetime thus far. So a few months after my teacher training, I had a really magical experience. And when I think back on it, it was incredible, even just in the scenery. It really felt like one of those romantic movies or something like that, where everything was just perfect. The whole backdrop was just set. There was, this moment in my meditation where everything just fell away. In retrospect, it was probably like a split second, and in that moment, it felt eternal, right? And this recognition that I had been chasing myself, that which I was longing for, all around the corners of the world, over and over again. And I had been chasing something that wasn't the moment. As if something in the future would give me ultimate satisfaction and gratification. And when I had that voice, heard that voice and was in this moment, it was a remembrance of like, oh, here I am, right now. This is it. And it was, to put it in really simple terms, it was a life-changing experience. And the path of yoga was much more unknown, right? So if I had chosen the path of international development, of course there's unknown in everything that we do, and at the same time I had experienced that before. I had done a job that was very similar to the offer that I had gotten, and so that was familiar to me. And that also fit within my ego structure of what I had defined myself to be. Right? Like, that's Alice, that's who I want, right? I really started to bump up against the places in me that were like, can I do that? Like, can I be a yoga teacher? Is this can I make a living off being a yoga teacher? Is this really what my heart wants? Did I go to university to be a yoga teacher? And all of these thoughts really started to ruminate in my mind, and yet there was still a huge part of me that was saying yes. And there was something so sweet for the very first time in my life that I wanted to come back to somewhere familiar. And when I look back, it's like every single time that I've said yes, to something along this path of yoga and of teaching as well as being a student, every time that I've said yes, another few doors open, you know, and it's like, okay, so you said yes to that, now how about this? You know, and it's been, you know, some might call it a coincidence, some would say maybe it's serendipity, you know, call it what you want. I feel like it's magical as well as divinely planned.